Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Open, Shepard, all alone. Shepard breaks a tackle and into the end zone. Sterling Shepard.
Thibodeau got there, got the ball out, scooped it and scored. Touchdown Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Second down, 5. Jones again. Oh, here he goes. He can see the pylon. Touchdown.
Barkley looking for a seam. Great cut. Saquon Barkley in for the touchdown.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Jawing About GMen Giants Football Podcast. I'm Big Jace, joined by Sean Scanlon. What's going on today, Sean?
Nothing much. Getting ready to talk some Giants and root for UConn in about an hour or so.
Yes, sir. UConn coming up. National Championship. Yeah, a little over an hour, and we will talk about that. But first, we got to talk about football, and we got to start things off like we always do. Talking about the Giants. Sean, since the last time you were on here, a lot has changed. A lot of big moves. Paris Campbell. Bobby Okereke. Darren Waller being the biggest one. Zay and I talked a little bit about it. I think Darren Waller can be that number one guy. I know I mentioned it. Like Joe has mentioned a lot when we had Evan Ingram taking that tight end with that speed, with that athleticism, moving him out to the outside. I'd love to see what Dable can do with that. But there's still a need at wide receiver. Paris Campbell isn't going to do it. So I think the draft is where the Giants are going to have to go. But how do you feel about the Waller addition and all the additions really for the Giants so far this offseason?
Yeah, with Waller, I love the move. I think that you need to get a number one target for Daniel Jones, whether it be a receiver or a tight end. But I think Waller's right behind Kelsey in terms of pure receiving skills. In terms of tight ends, I think he's right there. He's incredible at getting open, great in the open field. He can get open with the best thumb. He's super speedy for a big tight end with that frame. So I think it's a huge move. Obviously, I would like to get, a number one receiver in the draft, which I think eventually we will end up doing. But for now, I think that this is huge for them. They haven't really had this explosive of a group in terms of receivers and tight ends since Daniel Jones has been here, really. So I think he could be that nice security blanket for him, make some big plays downfield. He's been struggling with injuries a little bit the past 2 years, but I'm not too worried about that. If he can stay healthy, I think he could definitely be that number one target. And then in terms of the other moves, Paris Campbell is a nice addition to the receiving corps. He could be a solid, number 2 or number 3. Had a pretty good year last year when he was on the field. First year, he pretty much stayed fully healthy. So I like that. He's similar to Darius Slayton, I think, could really make some explosive plays and open up that passing game. And then on the defense side of the ball with Bobby Okereke, I think that's a huge move. We haven't had a dominant inside linebacker really since, Antonio Pierce pretty much. You have to go all the way back to then. So I think we needed that guy in the middle of the defense. Obviously, the defense was pretty solid last year, but to have that guy calling the plays, setting everything up, he could stop the run. If he can help in pass coverage as well, I think that's huge. So I like what the Giants are doing so far. The big splash move with Waller was huge, and then a couple nice additional pieces too. Supplement with the draft, and I think that the Giants are well on their way to hopefully another postseason berth, and then maybe they can go even farther than the second round next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting. What has been going on? It's exciting to be this excited for the Giants. Like, I mean, besides like the Kenny Galladay, that was the last time we felt this, and look what that turned into. So, granted, I mean, you never know with Waller. He does have a little bit of an injury history, and I mean, with how I don't know, maybe I'm scarred a little bit from Galladay, but yeah, I mean, keep expanding.
It's hard not to be.
But yeah, and I mean, the Giants still, the interior line is not great. The cornerbacks are not great as well, and I mean, we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the draft. It is April, so yeah, less than a month away from the draft, and we'll see what happens. That's always exciting. But all right, let's stick in the NFL. Zay and I were talking about his favorite team, the Jets, possibly getting Aaron Rodgers, and that spurred this conversation. And Zay went on about Lamar Jackson. He turned that whole segment into Lamar Jackson somehow. But that does bring up a good question, and I want to bounce it off you. Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson? Are the Jets right for going after Aaron Rodgers? Should they have gone after Lamar Jackson? Right now, if you were a GM of a team and both these guys are on the trade block, who are you going after?
Certainly going after Lamar Jackson, the guy that's almost 15 years younger, also an MVP, not as many as Aaron Rodgers, but he's got a longer career than Aaron Rodgers ahead of him. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was contemplating retirement. I don't see him playing more than 1 or 2 years if he ends up playing with the Jets. So I'll go with the younger player. Obviously, the injury history the last 2 years is a little bit concerning, but if you could put him in an offense where, he has to stay in the pocket more, if you actually give him weapons, unlike the Ravens have done his whole tenure there, not giving him any receivers. His best receiver has been Mark Andrews since he's gotten there. So if you can put him with a team that, has a good O-line up front, can give him protection where they don't have to depend on him to run so much, I think that Lamar definitely would be in a much better place because he can succeed as a pocket passer. And then off of that, if he needs to scramble out of the pocket, if you want to do, a limited amount of design runs, I think that could, really help. Obviously, Lamar is one of the best athletes in the NFL. So I think if you put him in a better structure, better offense, where you're not running the ball all the time, I think it could definitely benefit Lamar. So I think it would be wise for a team to go out and get Lamar if they can see that happening. I'm really surprised that there hasn't been, more teams inquiring about the Ravens about, trading for him. It doesn't make sense that an MVP who's only 26 years old hasn't been getting, more buzz about getting traded to another team. So it doesn't really make sense. So I would rather go after Lamar Jackson, but in the Jets case, it's kind of tough because they already pretty much penciled in Aaron Rodgers. It's not official yet, but then to if they were to pivot and then try and go after Lamar Jackson, we know how Aaron Rodgers is. He'd probably take that to heart, and I could see him either retiring or trying to request a trade to another team. So it's kind of a slippery slope for them. So that I think that they're locked in on Aaron Rodgers. But for any other team, like any teams in the NFC South, AFC South, pretty much aside from the Jaguars, I have no clue why they're not going after Lamar because that could really turn their franchise around with just one big move.
Yeah, and I think really, I wonder if like Lamar didn't, that whole injury situation at the end of the year, I wonder if that didn't happen, would Lamar be gone now? Would a deal already have been made? I mean, that's a big what if, but maybe that's deterring some teams, or maybe there is like massive league collusion because he doesn't have an agent or something. I mean, I've heard that conspiracy theory getting thrown around, but yeah, I mean, obviously here you're gonna go Lamar Jackson. I mean, Aaron Rodgers. He's on his last legs, like you mentioned. Granted, Lamar Jackson being that mobile quarterback and already having an injury history, that's always scary. But no, I mean, who knows? Aaron Rodgers is only getting older. He already had I mean, granted, it is a step back from a back-to-back MVP 2 seasons. He took a significant step back last year. Who's not to say he's not going to continue to regress? But also, I mean, these are all still hypotheticals at this point, because who's not to say the Packers feel slighted by the Jets' offer and a deal doesn't get done. So, I mean, that's still a possibility for all these teams. So, you never know. Everyone likes to talk about the hot quarterback who's going to be traded. Look at how long we were talking about Russell Wilson before he actually got traded and all that stuff. Look at how long we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers getting traded, and he still hasn't officially been traded yet. So, should be interesting. You're speechless, Sean?
Yeah, you left me speechless. No, I was muted. But it is super weird that it hasn't happened yet. I mean, it's kind of been in the talks for about a month and a half now, officially announced, and on the Pat McAfee show a couple weeks ago. So it is super weird. I'm starting to sense that something might not come up, or agreement might not get done, which is a real bummer for Jets fans. I know Zay wouldn't be happy with that. Reverting back to Zach Wilson. But it is weird. I think something will get done, but it definitely raises some questions that to this point it still hasn't gotten done yet.
Yeah, so we will see. I mean, I've heard it's because they're just waiting until Aaron Rodgers' money kicks in, so like right around draft day. So maybe I don't know. It should be interesting. And I really hope Lamar Jackson does find a home.
Same.
Even if it is still in Baltimore, if they're able to put aside their differences, which it has at times seemed like they're not going to. Now it's kind of leaning like they might as well. So I don't know. He's so fun to watch, and I don't want to see him sit out or anything like that. So, but should be interesting. Still an exciting offseason, and then also the draft coming up as well. A lot going on in the NFL. But, I mean, even more right now going on in the world of basketball. Got the NBA playoffs coming up. Interesting rule changes. Like, they're going to do a mid-season tournament and stuff. That should be interesting for the future of basketball. But let's talk about the now of basketball. Or I guess in a little less than an hour, the future of basketball. Or a little over an hour. Like right about an hour. National championship. UConn Huskies, San Diego State. Last time you were on here, Sean, we were previewing UConn's chances of winning the Big East title. They obviously didn't, but then they turned that around. They've been demolishing teams in this tournament. I mean, watching the Miami game, every time it got like within single digits, that's like me and my buddy had some money on the game. That's when we started getting nervous. But it was a stomping throughout. San Diego State's going to try and slow it down. They're defensively, they've been great. Really a surprise team this tournament. But I mean, can they guard Sanogo? I mean, he's been playing spectacular. No, not at all. I do also got to say, like, everyone's been talking about UConn, Sanogo and Clegane. Clegane, he was not good that last game against Miami, and like Miami inside, I think they like UConn should have won by more. I think if he's on there, but it's all Sanogo. I don't want to hear. Yeah, they got the good big guys, but it's all about Sanogo, and yeah, I mean if San Diego State can slow it down, Jordan Hawkins and them don't get hot. I mean, they could steal this game, but I mean, UConn, they've been the best team all year. And, I mean, this doesn't feel like a UConn national championship really, though. I mean, every time UConn does, they get hot in the tournament. But they've just been at the top, sniffing around all year long. I mean, everyone's talking about this being the blue blood, them turning into a blue blood. I think they've already been with how they've been the past, 30 years at this point. So, Sean, obviously you got the bias with being a UConn fan, but how do you see this playing out?
It's going to be another dominant game for UConn. They're going to keep on rolling into a national championship. I really haven't been worried since after that Gonzaga game. I wasn't even really worried going into Miami game because it's just been pure dominance. They play so well in every aspect of the game. They're a great defensive team. I know everyone has been talking about San Diego State's defense. UConn's defense has been just as dominant in this tournament. Holding two of the highest scoring teams in the whole country in Gonzaga and Miami to 50 points, under 60 points, which is really impressive. Like you said, they have shooters everywhere. They can beat you inside with Sanogo and Klingon. They have some great shooters with Hawkins, Caravan, Calcaterra. They're a great assist team. If they can keep the turnovers down, which they had a little bit, one too many against Miami, which is really what kind of kept Miami, not even in the game, but like you said, to the, being able to cut it down to single digits with a couple minutes left. Then cut down the turnovers, keep shooting the ball well, rebounding, offensive rebounding like they have been. I think it's just another easy game for UConn. They haven't even broken a sweat this whole tournament, really, aside from that first half of the first game against Iona when they were down at half. It's been an absolute dominant run. I don't see that stopping now. Obviously, March Madness, you see a lot of crazy things, so I'm sure it could be a trendy pick for some people to pick San Diego State. But from what I've seen, this is one of the most dominant runs I've ever seen to a national championship, and I think it continues tonight. And like you said, UConn, especially in my eyes, both of us being from Connecticut, they've already been a blue blood, but this will really solidify it, winning their fifth championship in 24 years. They've been dominating the sport for the past 2 decades. So we'll continue tonight, and UConn will be hoisting that national championship.
Yeah, I mean, the blue blood talk is stupid. I mean, yeah, we both grew up in Connecticut, but I mean, in that past, what'd you say, 24 years, they've had more championships than any other blue blood, more than Duke, more than UNC, more than Kentucky, like.
Yeah, and people still consider Indiana and UCLA blue bloods when they were good in the 60s and 70s. John Wooden and Bob Knight aren't around anymore. All right, so I'm talking about blue bloods with those teams. They haven't been relevant in years.
That's valid, but I mean, yeah, that is valid. But should be interesting. I don't know. I like the way San Diego State matches up with them. I think it just a different brand of basketball. But I'm springing this on you. Are you buying or selling this take? If Jordan Hawkins gets hot, he could he can become a top 5 pick in the NBA draft if he gets hot in this game.
Ooh,
he's already in the lottery. He's already probably going to be a lottery pick. But can he? I mean, look at Brandon Miller. I mean, he did not show up. Do you think he could eclipse him as being the top NCAA prospect in the draft?
I don't see it happening. I mean, I love Jordan Hawkins. He's just a tremendous shooter. He's unconscious too. Right when he comes off of the screens, he just ready to fire right away. And the reason I don't think he will is because he doesn't drive to the basket that much. He's kind of just a catch and shooter. Obviously, he's a pretty good defender, but I would say he's average at best. And then he can really get hot and cold at times. Obviously, this whole tournament, he's been on a really good run. But if you saw when they were struggling during the Big East play, in those months of December and January, there were times where he would, go super cold. So he's a streaky shooter, but I do think he could definitely be a lottery pick. I think he will too. I think he'll have a big performance tonight. Obviously, shooting is what the NBA is built around nowadays. So I think he could definitely be a big asset to an NBA team. But I don't see him, going into that top 5. He can maybe sneak into the top 10 if some team, takes a chance on him. But I think top 5 would be kind of lofty. But I would love it. You know, UConn does get a lot of lottery picks, so I definitely wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It should be interesting. I'm excited. The game's going to tip off here in just under an hour now. So, interesting. Obviously, you're taking UConn. I'm taking UConn. It sucks. There's a point. I was going to put money on UConn to win the national championship. It was like I don't know. It was whenever that Bama stuff came out with Brandon Miller and the gun. I was like, okay, UConn's going to win it. I was going to do that, but then obviously us being in Connecticut, you can't do that. So Alabama, next best. Obviously, that screwed me. But riding UConn out. I was just at my buddies in Massachusetts, able to put some bets on UConn, riding them out, get back on top.
Yeah, I got a future on them. I'm in Arizona now, so I got a future on them at plus 2,100. But it was right.
Damn.
It was right before the tournament, and I only put $5 on it. I should have put more. I'm pretty mad about it, but it's if they win tonight, I get $110. But if I were to put like 20 or 50, I'd be maybe go on a nice little vacation after. But I'll take it. I got them at good odds. Just wish I had more trust in them, but it's all right. We'll get the job done, and I'll have an extra $100 in my pocket.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Let's just stop talking about it and let's go watch it. So that's gonna be it for John about the G-Men. I'm Big Jace. That's Sean Scanlon. Big shout out to Chris Sawyer and Annie Mac Home Mortgage for sponsoring today's episode. And as always, check out clovercrestmedia.com where you can find and download this podcast and other great podcasts as well, like Keys to the City, Sports Talk with R&J, Throwing Jabs, bunch of great podcasts for you. Go check it out, clovercrestmedia.com. You can also start your own podcast as well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time for more John about the G-Men. Peace, everyone.
Open, Shepard, all alone. Shepard breaks a tackle and into the end zone. Sterling Shepard.
Thibodeau got there, got the ball out, scooped it and scored. Touchdown Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Second down, 5. Jones again. Oh, here he goes. He can see the pylon. Touchdown.
Barkley looking for a seam. Great cut. Saquon Barkley in for the touchdown.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.